Welcome back to the Economic Times in conversation with Asian business leaders, where I sit down with the heads of leading organizations to find out what makes them tick, what is their leadership mantra, and how do they motivate their teams to achieve more. Now, after an oil and gas major, I sit down with the head of an organization that is from a connected industry. That's right, I meet the country CEO and Managing Director of Renault India Operations, Sumit Sawhney. European automobile manufacturer Renault has received a warm welcome in the Indian market. We caught up with the country CEO and Managing Director Sumit Sawhney to explore his approach to establishing the automobile brand's leadership across the Indian subcontinent. I want you to look a little bit into your personal life. So I know as a kid you wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yes.
But clearly now you're fighting different battles at the helm of a car company here in India.
I think, I landed up in automotive by default.
Okay.
I wanted always to be a pilot. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it, and then I was thinking what to do in my life. But finally, as luck would have been, I ended up into automotive space.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, okay, if I can't try to catch the speed in the sky, at least I should try and catch the speed on the road. And that's how my automotive career started. So I love automobiles. This is the first, biggest, I would say, from a value perspective, asset a person acquires in his life.
Yes.
So a lot of emotions which are attached to a car. So car is actually not an asset, it is also a personality of a person. So I think, in last couple of years, what I have spent in this industry, it's a fantastic industry to be in. Once an automotive guy, always an automotive guy.
It's a great time to be in the auto industry in India. According to the latest figures by Siam, the industry grew 14.78% year on year with sales of over 29 million vehicles. Do you think the coming financial year will also be such a good one for the Indian auto industry?
See, Indian automobile industry is clearly poised to be the third largest automobile market in the world by 2021. And this is on the back of a modest CAGR of 9%. So clearly India will be the third largest market, and I think, looking to the economic conditions and the growth what we are seeing in the country, I think this industry, which largely is the backbone of economy, will continue to grow.
Looking at the other companies that came in much earlier in India, Renault has come in a little later. But now do you think you're punching above your weight in all kinds of segments here in India?
See, for me, when we came to India, the strategy was to find the depth in your business. So yes, we are the youngest brand in India, just 6 years old. But over a period of last 6 years, we have become now #1 European brand in this country, selling over 100,000 cars every year consistently for last 2 years. But we have a long way to go. And I think what is very important in a country like India is that you need to succeed in the segments. You don't need a Christmas tree of products. So I think Quid, which is a very strong player in its segment, Duster was able to establish a new segment, and yes, we are here in India to grow, and you will see in future Renault bringing in more cars to strengthen its position, and trying to cover more and more segments.
I believe for a foreign company that comes into the country, it's really important to have their finger on the pulse of the Indian consumer. Has Renault perfected that?
No, I won't say Renault has perfected that, because we are learning. We are still in a learning curve, and being the youngest, obviously, we are taking our own time. So, example, when we wanted to come with Duster in SUV segment, we had no clue of this segment, but we got the right product, and then it succeeded. Same is with Quid. Yeah. So we have a long way to go, but I think we are in the right direction.
There was one interview of yours where you said that culture will eat strategy for breakfast any day. How are you bringing about the culture, the correct culture that's required for the company through your leadership? How do you inspire, motivate your team?
So to have the right people, people, those who have got passion towards automotive, people, those who are committed to do something, above and beyond their call of duty. And once you have the right people on the board, then most important thing for any leader is to give them empowerment.
What is your leadership mantra? What do you think would it be?
I would say, it's keep it simple.
All right.
And stay focused. That's very important. A lot of times we end up making too complex a situation. And to stay focused, rather than doing too many things at one point of time. So instead of launching, 2 cars every year, we said, no, we will launch a car every year or every 1.5 years, but first we will make it successful and then move on to the next one.
Any personalities that you look up to? And again, this could be not just famous personalities, maybe someone from your personal life also?
You know, you have to meet more and more people, and you try to learn from them. You can learn from their success and you can learn from their failures.
Right.
And I think that's most important. I have learned a lot, not only from, you know, the more known personalities, but I think I learn every day, even from our young managers, you know, because sometimes we think that, you know, you only get learnings from people, those who have arrived in life or they are more established. But no, I think we need to learn from the next generation which is coming up, because their way of thinking is much different than what we have today. So learning has to be every day.
So when you look at the Indian automobile industry, it's exciting times, the way ahead also. We're talking electric vehicles, we're talking autonomous vehicles, car sharing, cab hailing services. How is Renault India gearing up for this rapidly changing industry scenario in India?
You know, after working and seeing a lot of markets across the globe, India is a very complicated market. You know? So you need to have a right product with right features, right value, you know, right timing, and with right strategy. That's very important. The challenges what I'm seeing, or the opportunities what I'm seeing, is that the world is moving towards more autonomous, connected, and electric vehicles.
Right.
So clearly, if I see from a Renault's position, we have been able to bring right product at right time with Duster, with Kwid, and you will see a lot more coming in future. Another important thing is that if you have to succeed in a market like India, you have to highly localize yourself. So with Kwid, we were the first manufacturer to do 98% localization, and you will see very high localization also coming up in our future products. And for future technologies, whether it is autonomous, connected, or electric, yes, you know, we are well poised as a group. We are evaluating all the options, and you will see Renault there, you know, with others, as and when we see India moving more strongly towards these technologies. One of the other thing which was very important for us to succeed in India was to establish a strong runway, you know, because if you are in India, you can't have a half-hearted approach. This is not a market where you can have a half-hearted approach. We have got a technology center in India, which today has over 6,000 people working, not only for India but outside of India also. Then we have got 2 design centers in India, because Indian customers, you know, are very different. Now these design centers are not only servicing India, but they are taking key inputs from India and also supporting our global centers. So this was a strong, I would say, a runway which was established for us before we wanted to succeed.
If you look at the Indian auto industry, what is the one thing in the future that fills you with the most optimism, and the one thing that is your biggest fear?
India will be the 3rd largest automobile market in the world by 2021. But you know, India is roughly 20 cars over 1,000 people. When we compare countries in Europe which are over 500, so clearly a huge opportunity. The GDP is consistently growing, and the forecast is 7% plus. We are seeing disposable incomes going up. So clearly, with this kind of population and the economic growth, sky would be the limit.
Right.
But the challenge is definitely going to be there on infrastructure. Infrastructure needs to really improve, and I think that's my concern on the policies from the government side. This is the business where you have to plan much in advance, so we need consistent policies, not wavering, long-term policies. And I think if long-term policies with right infrastructure growth is in place, I think this would, you know, this would be probably the 2nd largest market in the world very soon. Okay,
before I let you go, I have this special segment that I do here. It's called a rapid fire round. So I have a couple of questions, so you can answer them as fast as the speed limit allows you to. Okay, what is the best book that you've ever read?
You know, recently I read a book which was the journey of American saint, so Swami Radha Swami, you know, an American saint who now lives in Mumbai. Very inspiring one, you know, talking about how the Indian culture is much different and seeing from an American's eyes. So it was pretty interesting.
Okay, very nice. A profession you wish you could do?
You know, so I'll again say, you know, aviation, you know, to be a pilot, but now I can't be. But yes, if now given a choice, you know, and if I can really learn, I would definitely like to be a doctor, you know, a surgeon especially, you know, and how can I impact more and more lives? That's something, you know, which is very close to my heart.
A superpower that you wish you had?
I have a lot of interest on the philanthropic side, and my family trust is running hospital. Given a choice, I would really like the healthcare in this country to improve.
The most important invention according to you?
There's only one invention which I think and is most important for me, is when I was a kid and we used to make overseas calls. I always used to wish, booking a trunk call. I said, is it possible one day in my life to see people live? So for me, the biggest invention in life, even till today, is that Skype or the FaceTime, and where you can see your near and dear ones at any point of time. I think this still remains the biggest invention in my lifetime.
Fantastic. If not at home or office, where would one find you?
I try whenever I get time, so I definitely travel to this, rural healthcare initiative where I'm engaged very closely. So you will find me over weekends, right there, with people, trying to understand, and my intention is that how can I at a personal level, impact more and more human lives. That's my goal.
You know what drives Sumit Sawhney, the country CEO and Managing Director of Renault India Operations. Well, that's all the time that we have here on the Economic Times in conversation with Asian business leaders. But we'll be back next time with two other heads of leading organizations. Thank you so much for watching.